Returning to our regularly scheduled program after my birthday, we have Yuna, and other stuff. So now we shall begin recapping the 3rd anniversary stream, disregarding all the Dissidia Arcade stuff that we'll never get, or we'll get in the future, or some part of event maybe, who knows. Anywho, the event was a major success, no technical problems this time. The later half of each section of the preliminaries and the finals were really good matches. I didn't really watch the final battles because I was extremely tired from staying up all day. But if you want to see Dissidia at its best, watch this tournament. In between the first and second round of preliminaries, there was a developers talk session. During this small intermission, various things about the development of the games was shown. Everything from the original duodecim styled version of Dissidia Arcade, the actual arcade machine's development, how CG art is decided, character animation, character data, some concept art, other color options that never got into the game, and some title concepts. After that developers conference section, the rest of the tournament took place. So around 4 hours later, the actual presentation showing off the new stuff began, showing off new Twitter icons for the 3rd anniversary. And right after that, new artwork was revealed, showing off Garland, Warrior of Light, Furion, Emperor, Cloud of Darkness, and Onion Knight. For the 3rd anniversary, all the key artwork were released for Dissidia Arcade. All of these were released on Dissidia Arcade's Twitter, and the key arts were turned into wallpapers for phones. Following that was a second batch of arrangements coming to Dissidia, starting with Dungeon from Final Fantasy II, the main theme of Final Fantasy V from Final Fantasy V, Terra's theme from Final Fantasy VI, which won't be getting the original version along with the Arrange because it had already got the original version in a Theatrhythm arcade as part of a crossover with Dissidia Arcade. Moving on from that, The Landing from Final Fantasy VIII, Assault from Final Fantasy X, Upheaval Imperial version from Final Fantasy XII, Invidia from Final Fantasy XV, War, That Which Stands in the Way from Type 0, and A Chapelle from Final Fantasy Tactics will also be added as musics. A free version of Dissidia NT was also announced, coming out on the 22nd of November in Japan. This free version restricts your character access and requires PS Plus to play online. According to current translations, there will be 4 characters per week, 1 of each character class. Your ranking works the same way as it does in the standard and collector's editions of Dissidia NT. When you rank up, your rank is saved. All of the battle-centric modes are available. Gauntlet has one exception, you're only allowed to do the basic course in that one, meaning that the Story Trial and Summon Trial titles are unavailable to free-to-play players. The only customization pretty much allowed is that of the player icon, some basic titles, and your EX skills. Along with that, there'll be a new mission mode added to Dissidia NT for all accounts. Complete special objectives and earn gil, a great solution for online-only players who want to earn more money. Please note that details are still a bit iffy on this Dissidia Final Fantasy NT Free Edition, so I might have gotten some things a little bit wrong, but that's a general idea. You're restricted, but you can play online as much as you want as long as you got PS Plus. Okay, now into balance changes. I would rather not keep you here forever in my grasp, so I'm not going to go over every single balance change individually, each aspect of it, but I'll be generally describing what they've changed on each character. Regardless if your main is mentioned here or not, I highly recommend you go check out the other balance changes as they will help you get better at the game, and matchups will change slightly due to these balance changes. They are pretty strong, and pretty significant for each character. On his ground forward bravery and his backwards aerial bravery, Emperor can now glide about. Dreary Cell comes out slightly faster, is slightly larger, and does not indicate what team it's on anymore. Thorns of Repentance's height has been changed from 20, 25, and 30 meters depending on charge, to only 15. Please know the translation is a little bit iffy with this one, so it might just mean the actual tracking range of the attack, and not the projectile, so I'm not totally sure about it. Either way, you can jump over it a little bit easier now. Big Boy Bez has been finally buffed a little bit in his normal non-Shadow Dragon mode. You now glide about at the same speed in both modes. Your core damage has been increased in normal mode to be the exact same as it is in Shadow Dragon mode, and your EX skill cooldown reduction has been doubled for every single hit you land. Hopefully these changes make it worthwhile to actually fight as non-Shadow Dragon Golbez, rather than just stay away and pray that your forward bravery lands sometimes. Night Glow in non-Shadow Dragon mode has had its range increased by 2 meters, the radius between each pillar has been decreased, and the appearance position of each pillar has been changed. Golbez no longer actually lands after an aerial attack near the ground, he stays floating, so that if you want to keep chaining aerial attacks while near the ground, you can do that now. This is a very interesting option because it allows him to use that rock attack near the ground, when before, you would be able to use it once and then land and you would be forced to use the lightning attack unless you jumped. Moving on to Final Fantasy VIII, Ultimecia's Maleficent buff has been tweaked a bit. Before we go into that, I just want to quickly mention that the whole aerial attacks near the ground thing that Golbez has, she has now too. Maleficent now, along with its power buff, edits the abilities of each attack a little bit. lowering frames, increasing projectile size. I'd recommend reading into it if you are an Ultimecia player. This just makes her a lot closer to Garland, who has the same kind of property on his Angry buff. Maelstrom now has HP attack strength in terms of projectile priority, and Hell's Judgment has been changed to be a little bit slower, and the pillars come out at fixed locations now. At least some of them do. Our last character-specific buff, but not our last buff, will be for Camelot. His unique buff with each weapon gets extended no matter which attack you land now, similarly to Cloud's Limit Break buff in the new version of Cloud that we'll be getting very soon. Landing a full combo extends each buff by 5 seconds. So, I guess you can do what you want now. God is fake. He also gets his poise frames earlier on his shield bash attack. So the next change is onto the damage calculation formula in the game. The formula has changed a bit, so some attacks will do the wrong amount of damage. Hopefully it isn't that major, but it is worth noting. They did say that everything should be the same, but hopefully there's no major issues with any characters like Cloud doing 0 damage or something. Either way, they also mentioned that now buff and debuffs will counteract each other completely. For example, Mighty Strikes in the current version gives you 110% increased damage, while Weaken lowers your damage to 90%, meaning that if you get hit by both of them, you have a 10% damage increase. Now they just cancel each other out completely. Our last change is to the cancel timings of each search HP in the game. Firion, Emperor, Terra, Renoa, and Camelot all act out of their surge HPs faster. Meanwhile, Squall, Ultimecia, Kuja, and Ramza act slower out of their search HPs, making those ones more punishable. Hopefully more people will start running search HPs as a result. After that, they went over a small agenda of what's coming up next for Dissidia Arcade streams. In December, there'll be a Y'shtola refresh. Now they kind of emphasize this a lot, saying that they're going to change her class up completely. So if you like Y'shtola as a marksman, like me, enjoy these last couple of months with her. In January, there will be a new male character, and in February, they're going to refresh the summons. A new stage for Dissidia Arcade was revealed from Dissidia NT, from NT to Arcade. Okay, it's the Shinryu stage. It's a cool stage. I like it. Even if it was a pretty lazy thing to choose to make as a stage, you know, because you already have it in NT. They just put some obstacles on there. And honestly, if I could choose one of the summons to have a stage, I would choose Bahamut because it's the prettiest stage. But hey, it's nice. I'm not expecting much from this Shinryu stage in terms of plays or any strategies that are pertain to the stage exclusively, like with Interdimensional Rift or Alexandria or Cornelia. But it's a cool looking stage, I'll say that. And the other piece of content has been the heavily requested, and finally here, Yuna. Just like in Duodecim, all of her attacks are basically taken from other characters, just with a Final Fantasy X skin and put above it, until we get to the HP attacks, which are completely unique. Also, while she lacks standard defenses such as traps or close-range projectiles that are huge, she has projectiles from melee-oriented characters. Of course, them being on a marksman, they can actually be used as standard projectiles now, and they're a bit bigger overall, or faster. She looks really easy to use if you know what you're doing, unlike someone like Renoa, who's really fast but hard to learn how to use, or Kefka, who's Kefka. Okay, let's wrap this up by going over what we saw of her. Her ground neutral is like Ultimecia's ground neutral. Her backwards ground bravery is just another search type bravery. Spawns on the enemy and then explodes. And her aerial forward bravery is pretty much exactly the same as Kefka's thunder attack. Her aerial backwards bravery drops a giant ball of ice wherever she's aiming, dropping directly on that target when the ability is finally cast. From observation alone, these attacks seem faster than the original character's version. And her dash attack is literally Onion Knight's backwards brave in Sage mode, just way bigger. And now onto her attacks that seem slower than the character it originates from. Her forward ground bravery is a blade beam style of attack, similar to Vayne's backwards bravery. It can be uncharged for a simple blade style of attack, or it can have the charged and be like Vayne's where it's delayed and then it shoots forward. Charging it seems to make it go way further. Charging it also makes it way slower, as it has to start up right in front of Yuna before shooting off at the speed of light. Our last bravery attack to go over is our neutral air bravery. This attack is a 4-shot projectile. It seems to be exactly the same as Renoa's neutral bravery, the major differences being that it shoots 4 times and that it's slower. And my eyes might be tricking me, but when Jex dashing at her in her trailer, it seems to have some kind of tracking at least a little bit, more than Renoa's at least, although I can't really tell because when they actually demonstrated it, it was on a still target, so it's kind of hard to tell with this one. It might be impressive, it might be really bad, who cares. We'll see on the 15th when people actually get to play as Yuna. Her first HP attack will be a tower-style HP attack. Whatever you want to call it, it's like Xdeath's Maelstrom. It lasts as long as Ultimecia's Hell's Judgment, but not as long as Xdeath's Maelstrom. It can spawn at a maximum of 25 meters away from Yuna, and you can glide during it too. Her Her second HP attack, which we only got a glimpse of, appears to be a Search style HP attack again, except this one is a lot smaller, but it also does bravery damage, like Dissidia, except it spawns on an opponent. If this thing has Absorb, ooh, this is going to be a really interesting HP attack. If it doesn't have Absorb, it's still going to be pretty cool, but it won't be as special as if it did have Absorb. I don't think any Seek style HP attack yet has Absorb on it. We don't have any information as usual on her 4th or 3rd HP attack. And lastly, just to copy one more thing from Rinoa's appearance, Yuna appears with another female friend. At least I think Valifor is female. Valifor is the only summon from Final Fantasy X not to be reduced to a simple attack. Instead, it's Yuna's EX skill. You can have up to 5 stacks of Valifor, and it takes 20 seconds to get 1 stack. After using Valifor in any of the following attacks, it also takes 5 seconds to use it again. The effect of Valifor when used depends on Yuna's current state. It costs 1 stock to use it during an attack. When used during an attack, a search type of projectile will appear on whatever you're targeting. Not whatever you're attacking, whatever you're currently targeting, so you can attack one player and then attack another one at the same time. If you're in the air or on the ground, 2 stocks are used, and each one has a different attack. The ground version quickly shoots a beam out in front of Valifor, and Yuna can move around before the attack actually comes out. The aerial version shoots many projectiles at once at the target. Yuna, again, is available to move during this attack. If the last hit of the aerial version, or the ground version at all, land, you're given a unique buff, Moon's Blessing. This gives you 3 times the cooldown reduction on landing a successful attack for your EX skill. Valifor still has 2 attacks left. Energy Nova, which is Zero Form Particle Beam, is for Yuna. It's really, really long. It costs 3 stocks and goes through everything to reach its destination. It goes about 43 meters. It's performed by holding the EX button with 3 stocks. Lastly is Flap Rise, a defensive EX skill, the only one that's actually defensive. It's just Duodecim's assist system. It costs 3 stocks and it pumps you out of any attack that you're being currently hit with. It can interrupt anything except for an HP attack. And by that, I mean the actual HP hit of an HP attack. It can interrupt an HP attack if it has a bravery part. Yeah, that's a huge, 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 huge opportunity there in the form of Valifor with all of its different abilities. When I was showering before the stream actually started, I was thinking about how Cecil was the marksman for marksmen who are done getting killed by assassins. I guess we're gonna add Yuna to that list now. Kinda. Sorta. Anyways, I'm Blue. I hope you liked Yuna's reveal. Put your comments down below what you think about Yuna and how strong she is or how weak she is and all the other changes, the tournament, etc. Thanks for keeping up with Dissidia. Bye bye for now.